Hey nerds, we are going to do our review and breakdown of House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 7, starting now. Welcome to the Nerd Social. I am Colin.
I'm David.
And I'm Paula.
So we are now at the penultimate episode of House of Dragons Season 2. The title of this episode is The Red Sowing, and the spoiler-free logline is as Rhaenyra looks to gain an advantage by unusual means, Daemon crushes a young liege lord to raise up his bannermen. David, what are your thoughts about the latest episode of House of the Dragon?
I say this is a very good episode, and it's a very good lead-up prologue to the season finale. I don't expect a lot of things, but it did solve up a lot of answers and a lot of resolutions.
Okay. Paula, what are your thoughts about this latest episode?
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the dragon action. There was a bit more that we usually see, and we saw a little bit more of the dragon as well. So definitely a great setup for the finale, just like David said. So it definitely got me excited.
Yeah,
So,
definitely I would say the same thing. The acting is not on the level of the last episode, but David said there's a lot of resolutions that are happening in this episode, which I really like to set up the final showdown. There's some really good lessons to learn about how the writing and the storytelling evolved throughout these episodes, because sometimes in a much lesser writer or a much lesser storyteller, it would be boring. But I think that it's a good slow burn into the final episode, and that it's going to be a lot of fireworks, just like what it was in season 1. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I think that the acting has been very solid all throughout this season. And lastly, I think that online you saw some people that would say this has been very boring, there has not been really good stuff happening here and there, but you still need to build up the drama, and I think that compared to some of the other shows that we've seen, it's been really well done. But we'll see in the fall if there's other shows that could match the storytelling. Having said that, David, what rating would you give for this episode?
I give it an 8, which is a road trip, because like I said, it's nothing too exciting. There are a couple points that make this episode look great, but again, I said, I don't expect a lot of things because this is a prologue to the season finale. But the acting is great. The way they resolve some of the storylines here, that's what I like about it.
Paula, what did you think your rating was going to be?
I give it a 9.
Okay.
There was some really good action there, and there were a lot of resolution as well. So it's almost like we have an idea of what's going to happen next episode, but at the same time, not entirely. So
Yeah, I struggled. I think it's between an 8 and 9 for me. I think that one scene in particular really attracted me to it. It wasn't the ending scene. It was actually one of the scenes that we talked about before our recording. So I would also give it a 9 because of that particular scene. And I'll reference it once we get into spoilers, what that scene was that pushed it up to a 9. Any other thoughts before we get into spoiler territory?
Let's dive in.
Okay.
let's do it.
All right. So if you like what we have to say regarding House of Dragon or any other content that we put out, please share, subscribe for more of this. We really appreciate your support. Spoilers ahead. This was actually part of the previews from last episode where Rhaenyra is riding on Cyrax and then confronting Adam, who has just claimed Sea Smoke. And it was a very interesting showdown between the two because from Rhaenyra's perspective, is this person going to kill me or is this person my friend? I don't really know. Adams, this is cool that I'm in front of Queen Rhaenyra, and the tension was pretty good. But then, like you said in the non-spoiler part, Paula, they really went to the resolution quick, which I really appreciated because some writers would be like, oh, I need to drag this out and keep Rhaenyra guessing, oh, is he the friend or is he the enemy? But they really went for it when he kneeled down and said that I'm going to be a servant to your rule. And I just find it very interesting, that tension that's there, but then afterwards, Adam really saying that I pledge my allegiance to you. And did he actually say that he was Valerian or not?
No, he mentioned he worked for the House Valerian.
Okay.
And he said his mother was some sort of a ship maker. And he also said, my father is no consequence, as in he doesn't want to mention him. So, because he was never there. Corlys was never there for him and his brother. Daenerys. Rhaenyra is saying, how the hell are you able to have a dragon pick him?
Right.
Even though he has Targaryen blood, hence she asked your parent heritage and your ancestry. And second, as you said, is he a friend or is he a foe? Because right now she's desperate for more allies. Adam, as we known him so far, he just wants to do something more, and hence he says, "This dragon found me, and if God gives me a better calling, who am I to refuse it?"
Right.
And that's when Rhaenyra is wondering, okay, he's not asking for anything, or something in return. He just wanted to be part of something big, which is be part of Rhaenyra's forces.
And this is a good point in that this started way back in the second episode. So it's a very nice payoff for the audience to see. We get to see in this scene with Larys, this is actually a screenshot of a previous episode, but Larys trying to help Aegon out. We saw Aegon pretty briefly in the last episode. We also see him very briefly here as he's trying to recover from his wounds from episode 4. And he's still struggling, but he's recovering. So we don't know what will transpire with Aegon and how he's going to be ascend back to power, because it seems as though Aemon really likes his power and he's not going to give it up anytime soon. And as Larys pointed out, you really need to use your head instead of using your body, because your body's broken. And there's still a process of him trying to figure that all out. And it'll be very interesting to see how he maneuvers that into season 3, because I predict we're not going to see Aegon too much in the last episode, but he's going to be a bigger player later on in season 3, whether or not he's able to reclaim his throne from Aemon, and what's going to happen with Aemon in that season. We also see here that Rhaena, having been rejected by dragons before, finding out in the previous episode that there is a wild dragon, and she wanders off to the right there, saying, "See you later, Jane Eyre, you were pretty crappy to me," and to Rhaenyra's kids. Do you think that she's going to get her dragon at the end of the next episode, or do you think it's going to be a season 3 storyline?
We don't know yet, because her older sister, she has her own dragon.
Paula, yeah.
Like later on, we'll see 3 dragons, but there's 3 other dragons. If she shows up, then Rhaenyra would have a total of 6 dragons. That'll be a lot against 1 dragon, Vhagar. But in this case, with Rhaena, I think she will get her dragon. I think she just hasn't found the right dragon to bond with.
And then yeah, go ahead, Paula.
I think it will happen next week.
Okay.
I don't see them taking it into the next season.
Okay. All right. And then we see Mysaria here. She has been a very influential advisor to Rhaenyra, and then she has contributed a lot, have an insurrection within King's Landing with the food situation, but also now suggesting to Rhaenyra that maybe you should look at some other children that are illegitimate to be dragon riders. And you see how Mysaria is being her best advisor in order to fight this war against the Green Team. And, Rhaenyra at first was like, no, we can't do that. That's against the rules. But then Mysaria's like, what rules? The Greens have your throne. Why are you trying to think about rules and who's legitimate and who's not legitimate? And you're desperate, so why not do that? And, of course, Rhaenyra follows through on Mysaria's request. And it's really interesting to see her progression from being an individual who worked at the brothel and being Daemon's lover to now being one of the Queen's advisors. So it's a very interesting role that Mysaria has played throughout the first 2 seasons so far. And we'll see what happens with her moving forward and whether or not she may become even more influential in the future. This is actually the scene that I was talking about that raised my rating from an 8 to a 9. And the episode before, Daemon just dismissed this kid, Oscar Tully, because it was his grandsire was the one that was able to bring together both the Brackens and the Blackwoods. And he didn't really dismiss Oscar Tully because they're too young. Why do you care so much? And I think that this was a very good role reversal where Oscar was saying to Damon, you basically egged the Blackwoods on to do illegal war crimes on the Brackens. You should really hold the Blackwoods leader responsible for their actions. And if you don't, then I'm not going to support you and we're not going to come together as Riverland folk. What is your reaction to this young kid taking the reins and basically one-upping Damon in this scene?
I was surprised. I kept asking myself, is this the same boy that Damon spoke to when he first entered the castle? And he seemed very unsure, and then this man shows up and really had to go back. But he reminded me a lot of Lyanna Mormont from Game of Thrones. So he just has all of this courage and just really stepped into this role of leadership that he was forced to do.
Right.
So
but a lot of maturity and a lot of poise as well. And comparatively speaking to Jace, I think that Oscar really taking the reins of someone that is very young but also wise beyond his years. And also I would say that Damon here has been suffering a lot throughout this season. And he's been getting defeat after defeat, not only with his dreams, but also the Riverland folk basically, screw you, we're not even going to worry about you. Yeah, you have a dragon, so what? And Damon's just perplexed. And then you have this kid showing all this courage and poise, and he's, oh, maybe I should follow through. So I think that Damon is really going through a very low point in his life right now. And people are still waiting for Damon trying to become the bad Damon from season 1.
Yeah, I thought the way he was able to, in a sense, make Damon bend the knee and also still keep the respect of his subject was well done, very wise.
Awesome. Absolutely. And then we see Damon, after that scene, go into this dream scene again with Viserys. So this is like the second dream scene with Viserys. And Viserys offering the crown to Damon. Do you really want this? And then you see this first time that he is, I don't really know if I want this or not. And just, no. Which is surprising because all this buildup and all of this, I really want power and I want to be called king and all of that. And then when being offered in this dream sequence, hey, do you want this? He's no. What are your reactions to how Damon reacted to Viserys giving him the crown?
I think all these dream sequences is basically giving a giant empathy to Damon, because when they saw the reflection of him himself with wearing the eye patch, it reminded him of the Aemon, telling him that the Aemon is your reflection of the actions you take. Young Rhaenyra reminding him of why she wanted to be with her in the first place, because he thought he could control her and then be treated as king. But now she's growing to power. She's like, what should I do to be more powerful? And now his own brother, who he still adores to this day, says, do you really want this crown? And you want to suffer the consequences and the burden that binds with it? Because it's really heavy. Even though it may be light, but it's really heavy because you have to take all the responsibilities that must carry it with the kings and queens before him. And that's what I've been doing this whole time.
Yeah, that's a good point. What have I been doing? Do you think that there is definitely going to be some type of redemption or maybe some change attitude because of his experiences here at Harrenhal? Or do you think he's going to revert back to who he is before?
No, I think what he's been going through this season looks to be life changes. I think he is going to change. I don't believe it's going to be drastic, but he's definitely going to have more empathy. He is going to care more. I'm assuming he's not going to lead with force brute all the time.
Yeah. Speaking of Damon being salty about the crown, Jace here being salty about the fact that a lot of the small folk are trying to be dragon riders and disagreeing with his mother about that. And so again, you see a sort of impetulance from Jace because he has been a very loyal prince. However, he does feel frustrated that why are you trying to bring in all these illegitimate children to ride dragons? You're going to delegitimize the role of dragons as gods and the people that ride them as higher or above other people. Why are you doing this? I think he does have a point, but he doesn't see what Rhaenyra sees as an act of desperation here. Do you think that Jace's response or Jace's attitudes right now is justified, or do you think that he's just petulant?
First of all, this is Jace's idea to find other Targaryen-like blood that can ride dragon. But I think there's something more to it. He is right now been named heir to the throne for now.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rhaenyra told him the Song of Fire and Ice. But these dragon riders, who, if happen to be Targaryen blood, he's worried about his claim to the throne.
Right.
See, despite he has black hair.
And he did point that out to Rhaenyra again. It's like, hey, are you going to tell me that I'm illegitimate? So I think that he knows the truth, but Rhaenyra doesn't really say it out loud.
Oh, he knows.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he definitely made it known that he knows.
No, he knew. Like, way back at the beginning when Harwin Strong was taken out of the castle and put out in the front lines. And that's when he realized that's his real father. He knew for a long time growing up, just that he just wanted to trust his mom if he saw it's the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think his issue with it is not so much other Targaryens, but the fact that they are low born. Because he was fine with it as long as they came from other noble houses.
Right.
All of them being low born is really a big issue for not just him, but also the dragon's carer.
Right. And there's a scene where, I didn't put this, the stewards of the dragons were in protest. They were like, no, we're not doing this because you're just bringing all these people that are illegitimate or not of the high blood of a Targaryen into this very big responsibility, and we're not going to put up with this. And they just basically marched off in protest of Rhaenyra's decision. But you also have to understand where Rhaenyra's coming from, too, because all throughout the season, she's been in a vulnerable situation. And this is the last desperate attempt for her to hold on to power. So one of these illegitimate people are Hugh, and we've seen Hugh ever since the beginning dropping those hints that, hey, he has a very significant role through it, and this is a payoff of all that character development that happened throughout the season and paid off very handsomely in his perspective of claiming Vermithor as his dragon. So he was very defiant, much more devil-may-care type of attitude to Vermithor, and Vermithor pretty much respected that. And probably that's the way to go about it. And before this scene, there was actually one other guy that wanted to go first, and he got burned, and then there were several others that got burned as well. So it was very interesting to see that again, and to see Rhaenyra not as shocked this time as she was in the previous episode. So, Paula, you said that you were very happy when Hugh actually claimed him.
Yeah, I was excited. I started clapping, woo-wooing. That was definitely one of the best scenes of the season for me. Just to see this like power dynamic going on, and for like Hugh to, because we really have not seen someone do that to a dragon yet. Not even in Game of Thrones, stand up to a dragon like that. So I thought that was really powerful.
I have to agree with Paula. That is one of my favorite scenes in that episode, that Hugh was always questioning his heritage, and he's like thinking, am I meant for more, or should I deserve more? And then he got his moment.
Right.
However, the look on his face when he actually pet
Thor.
When he touches it, there's a scene that he's looking at his face. He says, this is what power feels like. But what I'm concerned about for Rhaenyra, that with all this power feeding in him, I'm afraid he might be more greed for more power, that he might later on try to claim that he might be king, that he might be the rightful heir to the throne.
Right.
But for now, I'm just glad for Hugh and Adam that they both have found that they're meant for something more.
And also, he had a huge disagreement with his wife, because his wife didn't want him to leave, actually, to go to Dragonstone to claim dragons. But he felt as though this is his time. And it's very interesting because when he left his wife, my girlfriend and I were talking about that, and we agreed that he doesn't have any purpose in his life, and he needed to go out there and find his purpose, even though he is leaving his wife, he's leaving his sick child, because him being there is not going to do any good. And so, if there's any other way in which he can, again, gain more power because of his family situation, maybe it's a very worthwhile endeavor for him to do that. And I do agree with you, David. We've seen this trope before where you're doing it for family, but then you get the taste of power and you really like it, and then you turn corrupt. And so, hopefully he doesn't, but we shall see whether or not that happens with Hugh.
Hey,
Yep.
David, I'm sorry,
Yep.
David, you said something that really clicked as to why Jace was not happy with his mom bringing all of the seed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really because he's no different than all of them, because technically he's also
Yes.
in
That's right.
and so any one of them could really challenge his claim to the throne because he's at the same level as them.
Right.
That's very true. The only sibling that's highborn is the last two, which is Viserys the second and Aegon the third. Yeah. So who are actually the true heirs of the throne later on?
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, Jace is basically concerned as you have all these other ones, especially the older ones who are the same age as his grandfather, Viserys the First.
Mm-hmm.
And Hugh is actually the half brother of Viserys and Daemon.
Right. Yeah.
By rank, he would claim he's the rightful heir to the throne, except Rhaenyra is already heir to the throne, so Hugh can't do anything yet. But we'll see what happens with Hugh. Well, the next one,
Yep.
I don't know what his deal is. Oh, I don't know how the heck is he able to get the dragon to choose him.
He won the lottery.
I know, especially after that great scene with you.
Yeah.
So then we pan to him, and I am expecting something great again, and I'm at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, he got lucky. Much luckier than, say, Adam did. I think that Adam definitely, because he has Valyrian blood, that Sea Smoke sensed that, oh yeah, this guy has some Valyrian blood with him. Whereas Ulf is very common. I don't even think that he's connected somehow, but maybe they will tell us in a future episode or in season 3 his lineage. Because a lot of these individuals, as Rhaenyra said, we don't know who their lineage is. So I don't know if they explained it in the books either about Ulf's lineage, but in any case, good for him that he won the lottery.
Because when Ulf is being chosen by Silverwing, Ulf just literally got on, and then Raya Silverwing, and ended up making a sky show
Right.
in the King's Landing. And then when Aemon heard about it, he just ran off to find out who this is, and then maybe he can find him off. And he followed Silverwing back to Dragonstone.
Yep.
And which led to this, and he freaked out when he saw the sight of 3 dragons, especially the 2 of the largest dragons right there. And he told Vhagar to turn around because he knows Vhagar's weakness against 3 dragons.
Yeah.
He knows he cannot. That's why he freaked out about it.
Oh yeah, he definitely freaked out, and I think that him being a better strategist than say Aegon II is, he fled, and you can see the stare down happening here with Rhaenyra. It's a brilliant stare down. It's just awesome.
Yeah, which is what Rhaenyra had renewed confidence in her again, but now she has dragon cards, literally. Now there's a total of 5 dragons, because we got these 3, and we got Sea Smoke the 4th, and then Jace
And also
Baela's, sorry, thank you, Baela's. So it makes 6. Rhaena's got her dragon with that wild one?
Yeah.
We don't know. It could be 7, which would be a huge thing against the Greens. But,
Exactly.
see.
Yeah, so that was the end of the episode, but I want to go back to a couple of other scenes that were, I would say, very important. The first scene here, Alan revealing to Corlys that I also have a brother, and you can see Alan's still reluctant to be Corlys' first mate because of the relationship. And I think that Corlys definitely still embraces him, not embrace him fully as his son, but hey, you saved my life, so I owe you in a little bit. And yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic where they know who each other are, but they don't want to acknowledge it.
I also feel like, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I also felt Collis went to Alan to make sure that he wouldn't try to go and claim a dragon, because he's probably wanting him to be his heir, which is why Alan was like, no, I'm from the sea.
That's a good point. He did mention that in the scene. And then Corliss later on went to talk with Adam directly and basically say, well done. And it's, you've basically ignored me for my entire life. And then when I do something really good, you're like, well done. That's it? No affection, no love, just, okay, moving on. And he had to be convinced to go to see Adam. He's not even going to take the initiative to go see Adam.
I was not proud of Corliss in this episode. Very disappointed of his actions.
Yeah, I can relate to Adam because he felt very little mentally, because he felt like, I am your son and yet you don't think of me anything more than that. So, or can see me more than that, which is very frustrating for him. He wants to feel acknowledged. He wants to feel like he's been proud of something, and he found it himself. But now he's rejected, saying, "Screw you! I waited all this time, and all I get is a well done." And that's why I figure I don't blame Adam of running off with the dragon and with Rhaenyra.
Exactly. And then finally, this last screenshot that I have is of Alicent, and Alicent had a reduced role here, basically going on a road of self-discovery, having lost all her power in the council, having Aemon basically shun her as the Queen Dowager. She goes off on a nature walk, and then she goes into this water and maybe reborn in some ways. What do you think is the symbolism behind Alice's journey here? Do you think that she is really just trying to grieve about all the things that have happened to her this season? She was attacked on the streets, and her grandson died. So there's a lot that was going on with her. Do you think that this is more of a rebirth, or do you think that she's going to still become much more isolated from the Green Team?
I think
I think she's just trying to find herself, because her first scene in this episode, she said something along the lines that all of her life she has served the crown and her family, insinuating that she's really never had a chance to do anything for herself or anything that she likes. So I feel like she's just trying to find herself.
Okay. All right. David, did you want to have anything to say about her journey?
Basically, I think she wants to have a moment of peace for herself and then revisit what she's been through. Like she lost her grandson, and then she kind of losing both sons, and her daughter is also in the Fritz, in a way of speaking, in a frail state right now. And also she's reflecting back of how her friendship with Rhaenyra was like and how it turned out, and also relived the moment when she came in as one of those sister nuns to talk to her. She lived in the mistake she did, which is misheard from Viserys. She heard the song wrong, thinking that Aegon was the prince that was promised. It's not him. And she's trying to figure out how she can turn a tide in the state she is now.
I think she's also just thinking about what was said last episode, which is that the one son that she didn't raise turned out to be kind and be a good person, and the two sons that she raised, not so great people. So just coming to the conclusion that she may not be such a great mom, and just facing that.
Yeah, hopefully she's able to get through this therapy session, I would call it, and hopefully she becomes a new person or resolves a lot of her grief, pain, suffering, all of that she's accumulated ever since, I would say, the break between Rhaenyra and Alicent in season 1. So you're coming all the way back from season 1 all the way to now, and how much she has to endure. Also, she lost her father too, because her father's not there. So there's a lot that's going on in her head. Any other final thoughts before we wrap up?
Like I said, this episode is a lead up to the season finale, and from the preview for the finale, we get to see another Dance of Dragons there. Except we don't know how many dragons are gonna fight. I have a feeling it's gonna be 4 for now, because we saw Adam getting his dragon rider armor back on, so that's means he's gonna bring the battle.
Right.
and the other three dragons are ready to go. And also we see Damon marching down there. And so Christian Cole says, we lead ourselves into disaster right now because they're fighting against dragons.
Right.
So we don't know what's going to happen because I read the story book already. So I have a feeling what's going to happen.
Yes,
but I
don't
don't
reveal
know
it.
I won't feel it, but the question is, how are they going to set this up to end this season that will mark it to start the next one?
Right. To piggyback on that, they left off season 1 at a very good point because we remember from season 1 the stare down that Rhaenyra had, and it was definitely a very wonderful stare down, and it anticipated people to look at what's going to happen in season 2. So I think that there's going to be something that's very similar, where there's going to be some type of conflict or death or something that's going to hit either Team Green or Team Black really hard, and then the other side is going to fight back hard in season 3. Hopefully they're able to to know where to cleave the book so that it leaves it off very satisfying, but then you're hungry for more for season 3. So that's what we have to say about House of the Dragon season 2 episode 7. We would like to hear what you have to think about the episode. Please comment down below, share, subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you in the next video. All right, take care, everybody.